Alright, so most people in the game right now would be under the impression that Ryu is one of the strongest characters in the game, high tier at least, like most of the Shotos. Maybe not as strong as Sagat or Terry, but similar, and maybe preferable in some matchups. My mathematical analysis of the interactions and the outcomes of Ryu's interactions place his reward as generally mid-tier, with most of his outcomes from similar situations being average to maybe slightly below average. And this is largely because his Oki is kind of average, and he has very low corner carry from most hits. Statistically, the common interactions where Ryu has the highest reward comparable to the rest of the cast are his anti-airs. Ryu's heavy DP anti-air is one of the best anti-airs in the game. It gives better Oki than most Shoto anti-airs, and it does high damage, and because it's a single hit, it has the largest increase in damage on counter hit as an anti-air, and the largest drive gauge damage if it punish counters the jump in. So to indicate, like, this idea, let's say we have, Ryu doing a jump in, so let's say, like, this is the start of a screen, so let's place ourselves, like, here, let's say, at this distance. So if an opponent jumps in on me from here, I would normally do that, and then, so let's say light DP is, like, the shallowest, and I don't want to go, like, underneath them necessarily, if I'm, like, particularly close. So you do, like, light DP here, and then you move forwards, but even there, that was a meaty throw timing, and I'm not close enough. So Ken lacks the dash up and the walk speed and whatever when he's placed from this position. However, and that would be the true for any of his DPs. So that would be the case for Chun, that would be the case for whoever, most characters, but here, if we're at this distance, we can easily dash and then walk all the way up and get a throw. And we can do it from even farther away. So that was at, like, this position. So what about, like, back here, right? Still getting a throw from way farther away. Back here? Still getting a throw. Still getting a meaty throw. Still getting a meaty throw. This is what I mean. His DP reward plus his, like, meterless Oki is incomparable to most of the cast. But outside of just comparing, starters for combos or Oki or whatever, Ryu is strong because he has very good buttons, and a very good mixture of buttons, and very good special moves, which allow him for a wide range of safe methods of attack from neutral, and he has high kill capacity, especially with level 3. His resource management is also quite straightforward and easy to apply. So, it's harder to make mistakes with him. Also, his high kill potential also comes with simple max damage routes that are easy to remember and easy to recognize compared to some other characters. On a more advanced level, Ryu also has strong drive gauge damage when circumstances call for it. He has high guaranteed chip damage or chip kill sequences. His combination of long, hit-confirmable options like stand heavy punch, forward heavy kick, and forward heavy punch, as well as big special moves like high blade, and his pretty good walk speed make it easy to fluidly move in and out of spacings while the opponent is too uncomfortable to walk forwards into some of his specials, and his far forward heavy kick, allowing Ryu to throw a lot of fireballs from safe distances by smoothly walking out of jump distance. Very few characters in this game are primarily zoners, because zoning doesn't really win matches in this game, but Ryu has a good fireball and a good EX fireball that is useful for mixing into his toolkit to keep opponents less mobile than they would have otherwise be and less comfortable waiting to react to some of the other things Ryu wants to do, which are technically reactable, like forward heavy punch or whatever else. Ryu's array of strong special moves make him very versatile. He can play very solid. He can play like a lunatic. He can do rushdown. He can do slow, etc. This, combined with his high kill potential, is what makes some things like his drive rush overhead, even though lots of characters have drive rush overheads, but his is especially deadly, because of this versatility. He can lull people into a sense of sleep with this, like, footsies, walking, some fireballs here and there, whatever, short, stubby drive rushes that don't feel very threatening, and then out of nowhere do this deep drive rush into overhead from neutral. It doesn't get checked, and with his high damage capacity, his high kill potential, he can kill you from very surprising life thresholds. And lastly, Ryu has a really good sweep. It's very unsafe on block, but it reaches very far and fast, and it's a strong universal whiff punish to, like, anything that can be whiff punished. And it's a good tool against opponents in burnout, or if gambling feels necessary in some way. So at a super basic level, Ryu's core important moves are heavy DP anti-air, standing heavy punch, harassment by itself and cancels into stuff, forward heavy punch, and then forward heavy kick just as a poke, and then you can get more advanced from there, and crouching medium kick into a mix of 4 good options: light fireball, heavy fireball, medium high blade, and drive rush cancel. Another reason why Ryu's drive rush overhead is strong is because it's very unsafe to try to EXDP option select his drive rush cancels from buttons, because he has much less reactable strong specials he could cancel into that don't have universal counters. For example, try out this scenario in training mode.
Alright, so this is the idea. This is the rotation of options, let's say. So we have on block, let's say, here's the thing. So these are all going to be from, like, low forward. So let's say, low forward by itself. Okay, let's say we have low forward regular fireball, or heavy fireball, which is a true block string, which means this is a way to just tack on damage and drive gauge damage if they block. And there's nothing they can do to interrupt this in between. They can't parry it. It is a true block string. And not a lot of characters have a true block string from, like, a far poke button into a fireball. But this is a true block string. This is probably the weakest option out of his assortment of options, because, you know, this kind of thing is not that strong in this game, but it is, like, kind of nice to have in certain instances, especially if you want to prioritize dealing drive gauge damage when you approach. More importantly, we have many of the options. For example, one of the strongest and most common options that you'll do is medium high blade kick, because most characters from these ranges won't be able to punish it, because it's only -8 and whatever. And that will be true from, like, most of his buttons. Yeah, from there, can't be punished, etc. But, this has been true since the beginning of the game, that, for most characters in this game, anyone that has a low forward into a special that's good, you can drive impact in between it. And that is the case for this as well. However, a couple of patches ago, they gave Ryu a buff where he can do light fireball from low forward and still counter a DI on the exact frame. So you can do this in a light fireball and from time to time, and it's like a decent whatever. It has a different perfect parry timing to doing this, and it makes it so they can't use DI against you. So yes, this is the main rotation of options. It's this, because this has the best reward on hit or whatever, because you don't have to spend any resources, and if it hits, you get a nice hit into a Denjin. This, for true block string, not super useful all the time. This, because it deals its damage on hit, and it's safe to DI and whatever on block. And on block, if you do it from this far away, you're, like, not even really negative. And it's a frame trap as well, in case they, like, counter-poke you. Or this into drive rush cancel, like everyone else. That being said, Ryu's drive rush is such that if you're too far away, if you drive rush into an immediate 4-framer from max distance, so if you do it from, like, here, you can go into a throw. But if you're at max distance of this button, and you do it immediately so it's a true block string, you're not close enough to a throw. So that's why a lot of Ryu players will, instead of doing this into this, they will do it into standing medium punch or crouching medium punch because they slide further and they get into throw range.
At a more confident level than this, you can try to practice implementing the forward heavy kick single hit confirm, which is difficult and risky if you're bad at it. Forward heavy kick still has value even if you're not comfortable single hit confirming it into jump tatsu. It's easier to start implementing standing heavy punch as a single hit confirm because you can do it into safe options like drive rush cancel or medium high blade. You don't have to worry so much about missing your confirms. As for Ryu's basic combo routing, he has a lot of routing choices that are all very similar in value depending on the situation and depending on your preferences.
In a basic sense, these are the combos. So, if you're, like, particularly far away, light tatsu is better off of lights. So let's say you get, like, a random, like, a counter hit like this. You counter hit something, and then you get, like, that, or that. Light tatsu is the go-to for these. You are allowed to do, this. This is also a personal preference thing if you don't already have Denjin. You may just want to do this, which does more damage than Light Tatsu. This is especially true in the corner, because Light High Blade will always give you a safe jump in the corner. So, Light High Blade is basically always a preferable option off of, like, Light Confirms. Which you can get off of Crouch Jab, so if you're going to do it from Lights, go into Crouch Jab, into Light High Blade, etc. But yes, for regular speak, let's say you get like a crouching medium punch, then it's your choice to do light high blade into Denshin. Generally speaking, light kick into light tatsu is better. From far away, you generally have to drive rush for your Oki anyways, no matter what hit you do. Of which your drive rush Oki options are like, you have overhead, you have late overhead, you have low, like crouch light kick into crouch medium punch, which is pretty good, because crouch medium punch is 0 on block, so you can go like this. Crouch strong is a really good option, because it's +4 and in throw range on block. So you can do that. Some Ryu players do the same thing, but prefer to do stand strong instead, just because it has different options on hit. You may do drive rush forward heavy punch, although even though this is very plus, it has a lot of pushback and you can't really walk forward and throw off of this. But it's not a bad drive rush option necessarily. You may also just manually time a meaty stand fierce if you're just trying to attack drive gauge, like this. I would say the default would be probably standing medium punch or crouching medium punch, whichever one you prefer. I prefer crouching medium punch. So anyways, yes. Off of normal hits, I would say that light tatsu into drive rush is generally better, or at least equal to doing this into Denjin. And then from, actual hits, from medium hits or whiff punishes or whatever. So let's say you get a hit like this. The default combo, if you're not close enough to get a heavy DP, like if you're in this circumstance and you don't have the drive gauge to spend on like this, or whatever else, then it would just be, again, light tatsu into drive rush Oki, or if you're really, really low on drive gauge, again, just do Denjin, just do high blade kick into Denjin, it's fine. But most of the time you'll have enough drive gauge to do a basic route, and your optimal route is this. So this is generally the optimal route, off of like any 1 or 2 hits, whatever. You do this, then you walk forwards, you manually time your forward heavy kick while walking forwards, and then you go into jump tatsu, and then you double dash off of this. You could also drive rush, but you can double dash. Now double dash is +3, barely in throw range, and it's very easy to get this wrong. So, let's say you do this. So let's say the opponent, like, say, wake up, walk backwards. So backwards, continuous frames 30. So as you can see, in this circumstance, I got it. But let's keep doing this until I don't got it. See, I messed it up because I didn't input my dashes correctly. So like that would like really fuck it up. Okay. The hit was a little high there on the forward heavy kick, you see? And I get my double dash. If he doesn't walk backwards, this throw would still connect. But in this circumstance, I would have to go low. But I'm really not close enough to go low into, like, a link. So, this Oki, while this is considered, like, the best default, quote-unquote, bread-and-butter combo, I do think that it has a margin of error, which makes it quite, suspect, you know? That being said, because his Oki is not necessarily that strong in the first place, and his drive gauge attack is quite good, it's not the worst thing in the world if you, like, slightly mess up your Oki scenarios, either. So, the thing about Ryu's Heavy Punch, his stand Heavy Punch, is that it forces the opponent to stand, so it is a great, like, normalizing effect on his combos. This always forces the opponent to stand, so anytime you land it, you can always connect Drive Rush Roundhouse. So, it's pretty goofy. In terms of your combo after Roundhouse, Stand Fierce into Heavy DP does the same damage as Crouch Fierce into Heavy DP. Crouch Fierce is slightly better, just because it builds a little bit more super gauge, but it's so marginal it doesn't really matter. So a scenario where what combo you go for is not necessarily easy to tell is, let's say, low forward drive rush from here. So let's say you have like a normal like 5 bars or so at drive gauge at this point. So low forward drive rush, normally in mid screen if you get low forward drive rush, pretty simple. Just do this, back fierce, heavy DP. Every single time. Just like, that's like by brain dead default, borderline no reason to do anything else. Now, if you're at this position from the corner, it gets a little suspect, because, like, let's say you're, okay, here, sorry, bad positioning. So let's say you're here, then heavy DP won't get you all the way into the corner, but let's say you do this, what if you go into back fierce immediately, into heavy Hashigeki, into this, right? That would get you to the corner, and it's arguably a better route in this particular circumstance. Or maybe you do this, into Tatsu, and then that gets you to the corner. But that route is not quite as good as the Hashigeki route, even though they're similar. Because this gives you a meaty stand medium punch, which is useful in the corner. And then even farther away, let's say you're at this positioning here from the corner. Again, normally you would do this, into whatever. But let's say you do that, and you're pretty close to the corner here, but let's say you need that extra corner carry from this position. So, normally, the medium Tatsu would bring you to the corner, and you can get a meaty stand medium punch that links to a heavy punch on hit from there, or you could spend a little bit more drive gauge and do this into a heavy high blade kick, and this gives you a safe jump. From there, or you could do that, and that will give you the extra corner carry you need. Or if you're at this position, let's say, you could get the corner by just doing this into the Tatsu route, which is probably the best option to go for in this circumstance. But what if you wanted to spend a little bit more drive gauge and do that, and then get a Denjin charge, plus you have control of the corner. If you're a little bit closer, you may be able to get some Oki off of that. It's like, you have a lot of options that give different advantages. Maybe you would prefer the safe jump if the opponent's drive gauge is low and you want to do drive gauge damage, because if they don't parry your safe jump, you can true block string them into a lot of drive gauge damage. So yeah. But because he has, like, these multiple different options at various moments, necessarily, it's hard to pick his best routing. There are other characters where near the corner it's more clear what his optimal route is. For Ryu, there's more personal preference involved. But in a way, that's also a strength because there's not a bad option to go for. None of those options are bad options. So, in a way, it's a strength because it gives them a wide variety of things to keep the opponent on their toes and unfamiliar with the exact circumstances that are going to happening without having to lose value by doing something suboptimal. You know.
It's generally understood that EX High Blade is the best thing to confirm into from a small number of hits, and that Heavy DP is the preferred combo ender in most circumstances, with its combination of damage and decent Oki. Light Tatsu gives him the best Oki, but its low damage output makes it worse overall than ending in Heavy DP, in the opinion of most Ryu players. There are places where you might want to opt for corner carry over your typical mid-screen route, but these situations are marginal and kind of up to you. For example, let me show you a myriad of options that it's difficult to say which one is the best from. Ryu has a lot of combo options here, and it's not easy to say which one is best, but to simplify, pick a route that you think is best, in your opinion, for a given situation, and do that route most of the time, but also sometimes throw in the other routes, the other options, on rare occasions, 10 to 20% of the time, just to keep the opponent on their toes, and not totally relaxed in expecting you to do the same route every time, you know what I mean? A little bit of variety, but generally have a preferred route for yourself. Now, generally speaking, anytime you land a high blade kick, especially near the start of the round, just grab a Denjin. Many high-level Ryu players choose to abandon the Oki of their first combo in a round in favor of just ending in high blade into Denjin. And personally, I do not think this makes sense. I don't think the math adds up on this, but I don't think it's a bad decision. I don't think it's a terrible loss, either way you do it. Denjin is worth the most as a resource when it's done as enhanced Hashigeki on block. So, like, walk up into Standing Heavy Punch or some other button, on block into Denjin Hashigeki for a neutral skip to force your way into a mix-up. That is where Denjin yields the most value, outside of max damage kill combos. If you want to use Denjin to throw a quick enhanced heavy fireball at some point, that's on you, that's on your preferences. Personally, for me, I would basically never do that. I would almost exclusively use Denjin on non-confirmable buttons, or as a better meaty in certain circumstances from, like, stand fierce into it on block, or when the opponent gets lower on life to do high damage or kill combos, etc. Otherwise, yeah, I would just be saving the Denjin until there's a good hit to dump damage. In a very basic sense, these are Ryu's simple kill combo routes. Ryu's level 3 is his main super, his most useful super, and I would simply use it on kill combos or to add damage to a combo that will put the opponent at maybe like 35% life or anything lower than that. Or when it would put the opponent at around maybe 2 bars of drive gauge or lower than that. And then you could try to get them to block something, so you could use EX Hashigeki over and over and burn them out. Beyond that, using supers when the damage is necessary to kill, obviously, and if you're confident in a situation, using Denjin Enhanced Level 1 to snipe a fireball from something like that far away is also a very strong super usage. Or, if you're in a projectile match and you call out the opponent with an EX fireball and it beats and goes through their regular fireball, it is totally worthwhile. It is a good use of a super to just add on a level 1 for extra damage, and then just grab a Denjin.
His kill routes are pretty simple. If you land a hit, whatever, this would be true of most of his hits. You go into Stand Fierce, Back Fierce. If you have already landed Stand Fierce, unless you know that they're going to be standing, or it's like a shimmy, or any scenario where you know they're going to be standing, you can just go straight into Roundhouse, into Fierce, and that does more. So, normally, if you have, like, low drive gauge, your optimal would be this. Or if you have a level 1, same shit. Normally speaking, you would, for most of your kill combos, you would not drive rush cancel. You'd have more drive gauge to work with than that, or you would confirm that they're already standing. So, like, let's say you shimmy the opponent, so you get, like, a shimmy, and then you get, like, this. So the optimal in this circumstance would be that, or to go into level 1, you would do this. So drive rush roundhouse, roundhouse, level 1. Just link the level 1 afterwards. If you have more than 3 bars of drive gauge, which you normally will, you do this. That for damage, or this for level 1. It's pretty self-explanatory. The important thing is that if you're comboing into level 2, normally you would think, oh yeah, just do the same combo and then go into level 2. Not correct. You actually end it with Stand Fierce, and then you slightly hold the level 2 and charge it, and you get a little bit more damage. So if you practice this, you can get, like, again, it's not that much more damage. As you can see, it went from, like, whatever, it added, like, 40, 45 more damage. I didn't see how much. But if you slightly charge it from Stand Fierce, you can get the level up from the default level 2. In the corner, it's more complicated. Generally speaking, you just do this into Stand Fierce, Back Fierce, Heavy High Blade Kick, Medium DP. Generally speaking, his level 1 routes don't get any better in the corner, off of most of his starters. So if you're like this, like so, that being said, he actually does technically, if you recognize the scenario, these are not actually optimal combos. So let's say you get like Stand Medium Punch, Crouch Medium Punch. Normally, if the opponent's not already standing, you would do this route, and that would be into that, and that would be 3,700 damage. But actually, with the same exact amount of drive gauge, you can do this instead. EX Tatsu, Drive Rush, Medium Punch, or Crouching Medium Punch, it does not matter. Drive Rush, Crouch, Heavy Punch, Heavy High Blade Kick, Heavy DP. This does more damage, and this, especially if you're going into level 1. So, like, if you're going into level 1, optimal would still be doing double roundhouse into this. However, if you do the EX Tatsu route, which is just better, you can actually get a level 1 off of this, and it does, like, 250, 300 more damage. When you have, Hashigeki, it's pretty simple. You just do... You look for any, like, confirmed hit, and then you just confirm into the Hashigeki. And then you do that. So that's for high damage. But if you want to kill, you just do Crouch Fierce, and then again into the same routes.
So, at the end, I would say, don't be afraid to abuse things that you know are strong. So don't be afraid to abuse buttons that are high, that are high propensity and high yield, like Standing Heavy Punch, cancel into Heavy Hashigeki to steal turns, etc. Like, be at that obnoxious range where you could do Threaten with Fireball, or Forward Heavy Kick, or Walk Up Forward Heavy Punch, or Walk Up Standing Heavy Punch, or Raw Drive Rush into, like, a jab or something, or medium or heavy high blade, or, like, neutral jump and stick out a heavy kick while in your neutral jump, etc. Don't be afraid to abuse the things that you know are strong.